I'd like to request best regards. We come from the Mizuho Financial Group, and we would like to talk about how we are fighting against the phishing activities. My name is Takeuchi, and beside me is Mr. Endo and Mr. Yako. The three of us will be doing the presentation. And the presentation will be carried out by us three, but there were many people who cooperated with us, and we are able to make this presentation as a result of the cooperation of all these members, and so we would like to express our gratitude towards them. In today's presentation, we'd like to talk about the challenges that we faced in dealing with phishing at the Mizuho Bank and what we did. And the background is, as you know, many financial institutions are suffering from phishing attacks, and the monitoring of illegal money transfers and the prevention of damage caused by takedown of phishing sites are being carried out, but still damages are being incurred. And there is the challenge of monitoring the access of criminals, but there's a limit to what can be done. And in regard to the phishing sites, it's very urgent to discover them quickly. And also, it's necessary to do a lot of things to counter phishing, but there's a limit as to what can be done because of the head count. It's necessary to quickly and accurately detect phishing sites, and as one method for doing this, there is the monitoring of phishing actors who spread fake SMS using malware, and we need to do some automation. Where possible, it's necessary to automate some of the responses. This is the agenda. First of all, this is the overall situation of phishing. At Mizuho, for the response and for the structure, I would like to explain about what we are doing, and then I would like to talk about what kind of phishing was targeting our bank, and then how the fake SMS is used by criminal groups. And then I'd like to talk about the various types of detection efforts and automation efforts that we carry out. Now, in regard to the situation of phishing in Japan, I'm sure that people here in Japan are aware of this, but there are some guests from overseas who may not be aware, so we should like to mention that in 2023, there was a tremendous amount of damage at 8.73 billion yen. And in 2024, it may not be as high a number, but the damage amount is probably going to be a similar level. Next. In regard to Mizuho's countermeasures against the fraudulent transfers, as mentioned, I would like you to share this information. Before we give you the details, we would like to talk about the roles of each department and what our response has been. In regard to fraudulent transfers, there are 3 organizations and 2 centers. And first, we have the department that handles internet banking and its monitoring. And then we have the direct banking center, and then there is the Financial Crime Countermeasures Department, which is in the Compliance Division, and there's the Security Support Center. And then for phishing site and cyber crimes overall, there is the Cybersecurity Management Department that we belong to. So there are 3 departments and 2 centers where countermeasures are implemented. This is for your reference. And in regard to fraudulent transfers, in regard to how this impacts the customers, we see this details. First of all, and there's the phishing site where fraudulent transfers may take place, and there's a call from the customers to the call centers. And then there is a confirmation made by the customers. And if there seems to be signs of phishing, then at the direct banking center, there is going to be an investigation. And then third, in parallel to item number 2, the customer consults with the police. And then once it is confirmed that it is illegal transfer, the Compliance Department and the Security Support Center carries out the study and further investigation. And then at the customer, number 5, from points from 1 to 3, if there has been some information that has been leaked, then there will be contact to other companies, such as other banks or credit card companies. So once a fraudulent transfer takes place from the customer side and in the bank side, there's going to be a major burden imposed both psychologically as well as financially. And so therefore, one of the causes of phishing is the phishing sites, and so it's necessary to take down those phishing sites. And in the countermeasures for phishing, I will not read out all of this, but you can see the detection response management that is being carried out. There's a lot of things that needs to be done. There are the methods for detection. There's also external help. And then internally, there's the matter of management and how countermeasures should be implemented. And in management, there's the monitoring that needs to be carried out as well. So it requires 24/7/365 support and response. And so it's quite a tough job.
みずほを狙うフィッシング、ここからちょっとご紹介なんです。
This is the phishing that what I'd like to talk about is what we are doing in terms of phishing site group. That the phishing site will be launched by different kind of groups. For example, phishing site, how it's created, and this is the repeating different types of the phishing site. And sometimes some of the phishing groups are so eager on the research and so on. There are 4 different types of the groups. And just for information, Japan's Cyber Crime Control Center, in that center, they have named in this way in the classification. It's not just Mizuho Bank, but as you can may participate in other banks that also have been targeted as well. Among them, the pink color one, SMS is used to make a successful bank transfer. That has been quite a problematic existence. So therefore, I'd like to mention, especially focus on this pink-colored group. Then what kind of phishing site are there? The customer number, ID, login password that they will be taken, and the addresses, telephone numbers are also used by this group. But the distribution, mainly by the email, is how they must have been done. The second group is something that we don't really see these days, but it just happened temporarily, and how you can see that how the screen would look like is slightly different. And this one is a main topic I want to talk about, which is called the group 3, BP1. And this item that they would take is quite simple. On the far left, where they place the quotation exclamation mark, and the Google, when you access by Google Chrome, to avoid the red color screen to be avoided, and therefore it was difficult to be detected, and also it was difficult to take this down. In this group on the left, they also use the SMS, and then the URL will be spread out. And then they are quite agile, and even though each individual banks may have done the countermeasure, but the numbers of the screens have increased so much, as you can see. They also have the dummy account. We have also placed some dummy account. But looking at this dummy account, this customer, they may not know the login password, so that the design may have been changed. That their screen would be version upgraded to make it more simple to use. And the group 4 is CP20. And as you can see in the bottom, when the customer enters the email account, and based on that email, there'll be some differentiated to be used. for the criminals' access, and there's still some limit to be monitoring all the criminals' access and immediately suspending the victim's account. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. The limitation, so therefore we need to do some automation of these. Some of the response is needed. So how can we detect the phishing site as soon as possible is the topic that he's going to discuss. Thank you. Now, the deviant actors is sending the fake SMS and to use sending the malware. So the background of that is as Takeuchi-san has already mentioned, in the phishing, the amount of damage caused by phishing is increasing year by year, and phishing damage caused by SMS masquerading as a bank is particularly serious. And so therefore, we need detecting phishing sites using a method early on. But then X, formerly Twitter, is used to detect phishing sites and take them down when needed. And we felt the system of relying on other companies, other banks was unstable. And that was quite unstable in doing that by other banks. So therefore, we will analyze the Keep Spy, which is used to send SMS impersonating banks and investigating a phishing site and aiming to detect the launch of the phishing sites as early as possible. So what is the Keep Spy? And this is a malware primarily targeting Android devices by the mobile malware. And they mainly pose featured as telecommunication carriers and direct users to malware distribution sites via links contained in SMS messages where they disguise themselves as offering legitimate security software for download and encourage victims to download and install it, thereby infecting the users, where you have received the notice where you have not been paid yet, and therefore use the software to be installed, and that is how they would make it complete. And this one, after we analyze this is the Keep Spy samples. This is the icon, is the Docomo's security, where people feel relieved, Anshin security. In May, last year, in 9th of May, that they have first submission was seen. And as a result of the analysis, as you can see, overall pictures such as this, for the Keep Spy being infected, then as you can see, display a dialog asking for permissions and displaying a screen disguised as a genuine app. And that is the 1 and 2 portion. And on the back end of that, to have the communication is established with the C2 server B, and the command to spam SMS is sent from C2 server B. And that IP address, and after getting the IP address and port number, then they would connect to the C2 server B and then subject communications. And then SMS containing the URL of the phishing site will be sent out, and based on the command sent from C2 server B. So from here, let me talk about the details of the analysis, and after it's being, after it being infected, what will be the screen like? And this is the dialog, display dialog asking for permissions, access to contacts, call management, send and display SMS messages, and change of SMS application, and continuously running in the background. And then Anshin security, the original screen very similar to that to be displayed. There's no change in behavior, and wherever you tap it, they'll not be impacted much. So on the back side, then C2 server A, accessing C2 server A, and obtain the encrypted strings, and this is the IP address of the C2 server B will be provided. So when it is acquired, this is the already encrypted. And then, the Keep Spy logic, and then they can do the decrypting the IP address of the C2 server B using the base 64 and AES and decode of strings received from C2 server A, and obtain the IP address of C2 server B, and method and private key, and also using the Java code. And AES key information is the encrypted, and then to be hard coded in the source code. So using this information, and this is the cyber chef screen and as decryption results, and then is now confirmed to be done. And then in C2 server B, if this communication device information is sent to C server B, and then that would also receive the command as well. In the initial communication, from the terminal to C2 servers, then the sender sends and then in C2 server will send it back. So that is how the response from C2 server is Pong.
あとですね、
And in regard to Keep Sky features, there's the cases where commands may come from the C2 server. And in regard to the here are the commands for reception and so on. This has not been confirmed, but there may be telephone directory information that could be sent, or SMS, text message could be intercepted, or SMS could be sent. These are the features that conceivably are taking place. And as for the C2 server, as a result of analysis, we can see that it is possible to confirm Keep Spy's C2 server. And there's the port 7775, and there's also 7776, 7777, and 7778, as well as 7779 that are available. And for the other ports as well, Keep Spy maintains communication and can send commands. Up until this point, in regard to the Keep Spy behavior, we've been able to analyze this. And so from C2 server B, we are looking at the content of the communication of the SMS spam from the C2 server. And this is very simple, but we have this kind of script, and we have ping that is sent every 10 seconds, and then there is a response. But if the response is Pong, do not process. And if other commands come in, then it's possible to respond with this mechanism that has been established. And we observed this for some time, and we saw that the distribution command was captured, and it's about once or twice a day. And from 7775 to the other ports, there are cases where it was possible to get the commands. And to the destination, there was the telephone number, the message, and so on that was described. And this is, for your reference, the screen that was used. So when Mizuho was targeted, we were able to have a response for takedown. And it's also to carry out notification to other targeted banks as a result of this. And in regard to the SMS spam commands, here are the features. In regard to when this was carried out, it's between 6 to 7 in weekdays, and from 17 to 18 p.m. And in holidays, it's mainly in the afternoon from 2 or 3 p.m. being the most common. And as other considerations, we can see the observation period. And in weekdays, the start and finish times for work each day is identified. And for holidays, the timing is when you complete your schedule in the morning and take a break in the afternoon. In regard to the difference between the ports, we looked into this. And in regard to the frequency, it was about 1 or 2 times a day from each port. And for the time period, from each port, the spam commands are sent at the same time. As for the phone numbers, no two numbers are the same at the same time. All are different phone numbers. And for the URL, it's a multiple shortened URL that exists. So there are different ones that are sent from the past. But ultimately, in most cases, the phishing site is the same. Next. In regard to early detection of phishing sites, I would like to talk about the attempts that have been made. And in regard to the phishing sites, we have the BP1 phishing site, and the survey period was April to October of last year. And the survey data, the data on phishing sites held by JC3 and the public data on the internet and so on were used. And the target were the brand names or the phishing site server certificates. And these are the results. And this is in regard to the brand names. In regard to the BP1 phishing sites, we have counted the number of FQDNs. And the companies that were targeted are indicated here. There are several. And MUFG Bank, which is said to have suffered the largest damage, ranks at the top. And there are also tendency for regional banks to be targeted. And between August to September, there were more than 5,000 FQDNs, but after September, this number is decreasing. Next, in regard to the server certificates, we did an investigation, and as indicated here, we see this trend. And there's a tendency for an increase to be observed each month. And in regard to the server certificates, it seems that the number is small compared to the number of FQDNs. And we investigated the reason for this. And the feature is that from April to August, there was the FQDNS domains had a relatively high percentage that were like this, but from September to October, the phishing sites have a low percentage of certificates with a CN. And if we look at the back end within the field, we have seen multiple FQDNs, and for example, there are multiple FQDNs in the Sun. In this example, there is 100 for July 31st. And so from April to August, there was quite a few number of FQDNs in a server certificate. And the reason the server certificates being used is because it's possible to build a large number of phishing sites at low cost and increasing the response costs for defenders. And in order to reduce the hassle of issuing server certificates, multiple FQDNs are registered in the SAN of the server certificate, and one server certificate is likely to be used. And by checking these SAN of the server certificate, it is possible to obtain multiple FQDNs of phishing sites on the date the server certificate was issued. And so we're using services to monitor, and we're looking at the search conditions. And as a result of doing searches, we were able to detect the phishing sites at the time of the server certificate being issued. But then from September onwards, it became more difficult to detect the phishing sites. And so we're thinking about countermeasures for this. To summarize, in Chapter 4, we talked about the monitoring efforts for analyzing Keeps Spy. And for Chapter 5, we have looked at the situation of several domains being used from April to August, but then this has become more difficult after September. From here on, I would like to talk about the automation initiatives and the future direction for Mizuho. First of all, in the concept for automation, we have to be the fastest in responding anywhere, anytime. And it must be something that can be done by anyone. And extensibility is important. And also, it'll be necessary to carry out proactive defense. So we need to have proactive countermeasures in place. And with that in mind, we have made our efforts in automation. And as already explained, there is coordination between each of the teams as we move forward in our future efforts. And I'd like to talk about what we are doing.
So it has been explained that the spike message that is the actual every day. We have been doing that every day, even this morning as well. And in this observation, how can we utilize and make use of that after the observation notice is provided? And Takeuchi-san has explained, in a call center, there are a lot of inquiries to be received by the call center, and we will contact call center, and also for the internet banking monitoring rule, and for the many customers may increase to be deceived by the phishing site. We will prepare for enhancing the monitoring rule, and for the compliance department. And so this is the notice and the cautions contents are uploaded and prepared for the whole website for the customers. And cyber security, phishing site takedown work will be done as well. So in the long-term monitoring will be done and to make some improvement on this. Also, I like to, once it's been the real-time observation is done, then there are from when the a customer is being deceived is very important. So in using SMS, so before that start of the SMS dissemination, but after dissemination of SMS, then some strange behaviors, and this would need to be enhanced. There's a possibility that customer may have been deceived. So for the attacker's activity, that we need to enhance a rule together with the activities by those malintended people. And also, I just like to mention that anytime, anywhere, in this example, we have the seminars, and this phishing can be set up. So in outside, and this PC, and to make some countermeasure against it outside of, and there were some challenges because phishing comes all of a sudden, and then takedown work will be started at the 6 p.m. and then actual takedown work will be completed by 6:30 p.m. That was some challenges. How can we resolve this issue? Then, therefore, there are groups of the in charge of cybercrime investigation squad as well as development squad. But then there are some challenges from that, because in considering the automation, API may be used, the tools that has been utilized, if you want to use it more, then you can do things that then had not been able to be done before. So based on what is possible, in the new flow will be proposed and to determine this. So that is how we would iterate these workflow and to determine on this, to decide on this. And then based on that, in the actual group and the teams that was working on this, and also combined with the implementation team, and to try to resolve issues. And when you work on this for the phishing, there are some conditions to that, because when you say phishing, then just ID and password may be very simple. But in the case of banks, logo mark may be used and to talk about to impersonate some other banks. But in actual fraudulent work, there are some. What about the investment fraud? And then the credit card may be used. So there's conditions are quite complex, and in terms of input emails come from all over the world, so all kinds of places, and also in its usage, how many of them, and then they want to count how many of them has been resolved and so on. So people in charge of this, so it is quite difficult to arrange the conditions for the recovery from that. Also, in other places, some cases are public informations. in the phishing takedown tool, we have our own Predator system, which we have developed, and we have done various updates on that, and that anybody can utilize this and to make the takedown of the phishing site. And in the recent automatic ticketing is done. This is the for the to be implemented among these projects. So also, as the anytime, anywhere that we have mentioned, and in terms of anywhere, anytime, that is quite challenging as well. Using smartphones, using the company's smartphone, and then you can put it in log, then all the log and necessary tasks can be done very quickly. So in the seminar venue, you can also do the phishing takedown as well. Also, in the defense, the phishing deception approach. In the future, in the phishing site, we are planning a system to classify target groups as soon as phishing sites are discovered and automatically submit dummy accounts. And the phishing to be countermeasure against the phishing is what we have been thinking about. So that is the just a summary of my part. In terms of the future promotion of the automation, one is the promotion of the automation itself, because the automation we have to do more, but then due to the high burden of the management tasks, so these management work, let's say hundreds of them, and how many of them have been taken down, how many of them have been still alive, so that is what will be discussed, and that part is also being considered to be automated. And also from the various communities are providing information, and also the method of observations may be different. So we want to enhance that links and collaboration. And the AI can be used, and so that we can actors and groups to be analyzed on the phishing site. And in the future, you may be impersonating yourself that you have been kidnapped or the victims. Also for the promotion of the core joint defense, and in terms of its contents, for the phishing people, the companies who are phishing and suffering from that is to be provided information exchange and to share the information together. That is what we like to do. So in that case, various type of training, and the people are seconded to work in our place. So regional banks and police, and those people have been received by us, and those are phishing site countermeasure has been done, and we want to further enhance and further make it broader. In JSAC JC3, and there are some community people has been quite cooperative, and so that we really appreciate them very much. And for that, we want to make a very positive contribution.
So instead of just sharing information, we hope that this can act as a community to take action. And this is the final slide. This is a summary of what we've talked about. As Mr. Takeuchi has mentioned, monitoring fraudulent remittances is very important, but there are limitations with just that. And so it's necessary to respond with quick takedowns. We want to implement that, but automation is necessary, and it's not possible for a single organization or a single company, so it needs multiple entities working together. And in the middle part, we talked about analysis of the malware. And the analysis of malware can be applied in the actual work. So for early detection of phishing, we are going to be making efforts in this area. Finally, in my part, I've talked about automation and the expertise necessary for automation, as well as the understanding of business process to carry out improvements. And it's necessary for teamwork to take place to do this. So, in order to fight against phishing, we must take action with like-minded organizations and companies to take action. And with that, we would like to close off the presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.